Has there ever been a scenario like that?
A bad
situation online that you had to deal with, like a racist?
Oh, there's always a lot of violence and things like that, but
How do you deal with that? How do you manage?
I'm one of those people that I ignore that kind of stuff. If someone's gonna send me a tweet or comment on a thing, if I comment, it's just feeding the fire. You know what I mean? And so there's gonna be people who don't support you. There's gonna be people who are jealous, haters, right? But think about that could be one in like 1,000 people. Or, you know, there's always those trolls, right? I was on a national TV show. I'm a plus size girl. I'm Aboriginal. You know, all the things that people think I've got stacked against me, those are things I embrace. And so when I think about people who have a comment, you know, you think about, well, maybe they don't like themselves, or, you know, or maybe they you know, they're just trying to go out there and we're survivors. We've overcome a lot. The last thing I care about is, you know what? I turn negatives into positives. You know, I'm not there to educate people and start fighting with them and, oh yeah, this and that. You know, no one's got time for that. I think that's important. When you comment on one of those Twitter things, it's just like, hey, look at us, we're fighting now. You know, I don't like when people go, oh, here's to all my haters, this and that. Stop doing that. There's people who are listening. I really can't stand when people do, all my haters, I'm doing good. You know what? It's it's just showing people. You know, keep it positive. What kind of people do you want? If you're trying to be a controversial person, go do your thing. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be a positive person, think about who's your fan base. Do you want a growing fan base? Or do you want one with just in your friends and family? You could be Ottawa famous forever. You know, the same people who are here are not the same people in Saskatoon, are not the same kind of people. Everywhere you go, they're going to subscribe to a different kind of personality or different kind of music. You want to be able to reach across the nation. It's whatever your goal is, right? But when it's online, everybody sees it. Well, like Shawnee said, like what you did here at Aboriginal Summer Solstice is you were performing on stage. There's stages like this all across Canada. And sometimes I think it is this bit of a sacrifice. I don't know, because Shawnee's been in this industry for quite some time, but I travel with artists, and sometimes it is an investment. Mm-hmm. It is sometimes, you know, getting in your car, loading up with granola and water, and like eating fast foods and staying where, maybe sleeping in your car or whoever, but get on those stages, get people know, like spend time with people, you know. It's not easy at times. Sometimes you see a lot of drama on the road and that, or sometimes it can be really positive. But you want to be able to touch base with people, right? And you'll be surprised. I remember Tribe Called Red came to Vancouver. It was like one of their first kind of shows. And it was just a few guys. We're all like, you radicals, come to a show. It was the smallest little show ever. And it was just in a little room, just with just our friends. And we're like, oh my God, we love a Tribe Called Red. Last summer, they did a show, 2 sold-out shows at the Commodore. Commodore is a huge venue in Vancouver. So we're all like a lot of like greats play, right? And you know what? Out of all those thousands of people, there's a little teeny corner of all Native people. And the rest of the crowd was all mainstream. And they went to Squamish Fest when Snoop Dogg was there and killed it. The entire like lower mainland in British Columbia is not so over a Tribe Called Red, and they're from here, right? So I'm sure they paid their dues, and like other artists have, you know, it's sacrifice. And how bad do you want it? When you want it, I sacrificed a lot away from my children and my family, but I can say that, hey, you know what, like, I'm a role model to them and to other young people who say, if you have a dream, how bad do you want it? I'll do anything for it.
Mm-hmm, me too. Yeah. They also have a really good manager. He gets them in some really cool shows. Mm-hmm.
But it's about attracting that person too. I'm not, you know, and for me, I figured out what works best for me, and I enjoy the climb, the chase. I do enjoy that. You know, what can I do next? What can I tackle next? But artists, they do need help. You do need help. You need somebody to help with the littlest things to the you know, calling people, but at a point. And I remember people telling me, when I was at that stage, I remember people saying, you don't need manager now. You need them when you're famous. And, not necessarily true, but there's a lot you can do on your own. There's like calling up that festival and introducing yourself. Hey, you might not know me, but I would love to send my stuff over to you. Next year, I heard about the festival. I have a few fans out there and just talking, just getting to know anybody that will vouch for you. You won't. It's not very often. You won't.
I don't know. I believe in manifesting, right? You know what I did? Because I'm a brand, like Suzette Amaya is a brand, I started talking in third person. And it was so weird. People think it's weird, but I'd call, hi, this is like, I'm calling on behalf of Suzette Amaya.
You pretend you're your own manager.
Like, you know what? Yeah, it's pretending you're your own, like, it's like stepping away from yourself. That's the product. That's what it is. And I did everything in third person. I'm like, oh, well, I do all my own management. They're like, what? They think there's this big, like, muscle behind it, but it's just me. So, when you envision it and you look at yourself, you have to remove yourself and think business-wise.
Outside. You gotta get to know that.
I think that's important because, like I said before, Joey Styles, he came out to me and he says, you want you to be my manager. I'm like, this is a marriage. If you want to work with me, like, it's like neck. We're doing everything together. But it was a way for him to say, this is what I want. You have to create goals. If you don't have goals, then you have no direction, right? So I'm a goal person. I write every single thing down. I'm like, these are the cities I'm going to, and this is when I'm going to do it, and I go do it. If you're one of those people who say, well, this is what I want to do, well, it may not happen. For me, if I say, I'm going to go to Ottawa next year, guess what? I'm here, right? So when you decide where you want to go and where you want to achieve, those people will come into your life. You won't even believe where they come from. It's just always being positive all the time.
And that was the reason why I was talking about the manager for Tribe Called Red.
Yeah.
He came in. I didn't get to finish.
Sorry, I'm so loud and rude.
He came in at a really key part of, they were already here, and he brought them to the next level. But that happens one in 100 artists. So and he actually allows them to be themselves. Do their thing. That's
very rare, actually.
One in 1,000 artists.
But times are changing now. I think that people are able to start their own record labels, create their own thing, and move forward.
Own your craft. You can 100% make a living out of it.
Indie music is so huge right now, and people that are not so much in this machine of the mainstream, like, I don't really listen to mainstream station. It makes me sick to my stomach. I'm straight up Aboriginal, right? And so when I hear that stuff, it's empowering. But people are owning. There's many artists out there. They're doing exactly what Shawnee is doing, and I have huge respect for them because I know the work that they're doing. But creating their own path, and their fan base is getting bigger, and you might not even realize it. It's what you see online is not a reflection completely of her fan base. It's probably like triple what she sees because not everyone's on the social media.
And that, I feel, is really recent too. That's very, very recent because I haven't really released a whole lot of stuff. It's a single at a time. I'm really, really picky, and I'm really, really hard on what I do. So, but I've just recently, I was like, okay, I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, and I have not released an EP. And I met this producer, and I sent him an email after the whole manager thing, and I was down in the dumps. I was like, what am I gonna do? No budget, no manager, no fan base. It felt like I felt very alone. And I was like, what can I do now? I need music. I need to start again. So I emailed a producer. I love Alanis Morissette. I said, who's Alanis Morissette working with? Tim Thorney. So I emailed Tim Thorney and I said, I wrote this song. People feel inspired by it. I'm inspired by it. It means something to me. Do we want to take a listen to it? And he did. He emailed me back. He said, well, come over next week. Let's start writing. We spent the entire winter writing, and he invested his time and he invested his money because I think maybe he felt inspired. I don't know why. I don't know why he wanted to work with the project, but he I'm very, very, very grateful that he did, and we worked all winter long, and I released an EP after that. And so yeah, it's really just about figuring out what next and going, and you just go no matter what. And even if people won't, people are not, especially if they're not in the artist community, they don't necessarily feel that drive that you do, that passion, that inspiration in their hearts. And that's why people love music, because they want to feel inspired. They want to feel that, and that's your job. It's because you love it, to help them understand that passion, your passion, and inspire people through what you do, in whatever way that is. And whether it's whatever, if you're looking for fans, if you're looking for a manager, if you're looking for a producer, it's your job to inspire that person and define who you are to them. And just figuring out a way to do that with your actual art and your craft and with your business. It's a business.
And you got to think outside the box too. Sometimes we can get wrapped up in our own circles of friends or the people in the industry. And it's good to think outside. Like, you love Alanis Morissette. That's a role model to you. And then she, took that, like, I'm going to go do this, right? For yourself, think about the people in the industry in your community, right? Think about people who are the heavyweights, people who are rock and rolling, doing things. Don't be afraid to approach them or talk to them or anything. You'd be surprised. How do you know that you're not that young guy somebody's looking for, right? Or that the person in this industry, they're like, yeah, you're exactly the perfect timing. It's just like magic. You'll see people who make it, and it's always the timing, and it's always manifesting, or hey, they'll feel your passion. But the people who do well in this industry, they attract people in this industry. You just got to think outside the box. Outside of our comfort zone. When you're outside the comfort zone, then you go further. I mean, it's not easy sometimes, but that's why I do everything third person. Well, can Suzette do that? Yes, she can, right? And I go do it, you know what I mean? And so I beat out 11,000 people to be on Big Brother. I auditioned for thousands, And I said, well, yeah, I can't be that girl in a bathing suit who's plus size, doesn't care about my body, and just be myself, That says a lot. So how are you going to get recognized, and how are you going to attract people in your life? It's going to be that person. Like you have a brand, you have good material, good writer, you're doing everything right. It's just you have to, maybe there's people outside of your circles that can help you along the way. Don't be afraid. It doesn't always, even though you have an Aboriginal message, how do you know that it's talent? Talent is talent. Doesn't matter what culture you're from, right?
No, that was actually really fun.
Yeah, we could talk about this all day.
It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Let's do it again next year.
Yeah, totally.
We should do a tour.
I know, right? Just 2 workshops.
What you want?